to stand behind those chairs and stuff. So when they come and they see you have bypassed the stones, they will actually fight you.
Well, I can relate with what that gentleman is talking about when it comes to election. I remember my first time voting, I had to join such a long queue, and certain people even coming up at dawn to leave stones there. And that's a big conversation because some of these persons are really upbeat about the 2024 election. And for some of them, voting for the first time is such a crucial thing for them. So let's get on Zoom and let's get in studio as well, where we have a guest and on phone connecting with us. First, William is a first-time voter. William connects with us on Zoom. William, it's good to have you on. William, can you unmute? Well, I'll get to William shortly. Joyce is the programs manager and the coordinator at Youth Bridge Foundation. They've been doing some excellent work about the youth. And Joyce, it's good to have you connect with us on the show. Well, Isaac J. Hyde is Deputy National Youth Organizer of the New Patriotic Party, and Isaac is connecting with us on the show. Isaac, it's good to have you join us on the show.
Good evening, my brother Kwaku and your listeners. I'm happy to be part of the discussion.
Osman is also connecting with us. He's Deputy National Youth Organizer of the NDC. Osman.
Yes, good evening to you, my brother, and good evening to your cherished listeners, and for those viewing, good evening to them.
Right, and Lois Adeyemi is connecting with us right here in studio. Lois has been doing some great work around this Just Turned 18. She's spoken to a lot of them. She has a certain view of what it is that these persons expect. Lois, it's good to have you connect with us.
Thank you, Kwaku. Hi. And thank you also for having me on. I'm excited.
All right, so let me start the conversation from you, Lois. You've gone out there, you've spoken to a lot of these persons who are first-time voters. And what have they been telling you in terms of their preparedness, how excited they are to go and register?
Okay, so thank you, Kwaku. One thing that a lot of people have said over and over and over again, and going onto the streets to do Just Turned 18, is people just saying they're really excited to exercise their franchise for the first time. I like that you said that when you were going to vote for the first time, you could relate with some of the things that these people have said. And what these people said, actually, it hasn't happened to them. It's things they had seen, and they've heard about elections, and that you go and stand in long queues and you would want to vote. But the focus of Just Turned 18 is to find out what will influence a young person, someone who has just turned 18, to say, okay, I was in the queue regardless of the amount of hours, the amount of time I'll spend there. I still want to wake up and go and stand in the queue. And good enough for us. We have a lot of people who have positive reasons. And when I say positives, they are taking the negatives and expecting that, government to change these negatives into positives. So, these are what the first-time voters are looking out for, but they are excited. Most of them are.
I mean, Isaac J. Hyde, it's your party that is in government. And we hear from some of these first-time voters. What we want to do on the show tonight is we want to conference all of us, have a conversation. They can be asking questions. And so while we start out the Zoom connection so that these first-time voters can put their questions to you. Some of these persons who have spoken are really passionate about employment. Your party is in government. The employment record has come under scrutiny. What is your response to that?
Well, thank you very much once again. You realize that coming into office, the NPP made a number of promises to the Ghanaian youth, especially in the areas of employment and education. Today, our record speaks for itself. There's never been in the history of this country that we've had such mass enrollment into the security services, be the fire, be the police, be the immigration. And as I speak to you, the average person that is entering the security services, most of the time the cutoff age is 32 years. And so for the tens of thousands of people that we recruited into the security services, our record speaks for itself that these are youthful people that we are putting into the stream. Never at a go has a government recruited over 100,000 people to feed into the ranks of the Ghana Education Service, be it teaching and non-teaching staff, just so we could meet the demand that free SHS presents for us. At the same time, tens of thousands of teachers have been recruited so that we can meet the human resource capacity to be teaching the excess students, the thousands of students, 1.2 million students who have been beneficiaries of the government's flagship initiative of free SHS. And then again, initiatives which are seen for us to be expanding factories and building new ones under the 1D1F has equally led to employment across board. There's also not denying that the advent of COVID and then the external shock that we received also quite affected the number of businesses, and for that matter, I mean, unemployment still ravages this country. I mean, there's never going to be a time where a government will be able to employ everybody, or the ecosystem can employ everybody. Even if you go to the United States or the first world countries, people still are unemployed. But what really matters is that the measures that the government has put in place to ensure that the ordinary person and people who are willing and ready to work get the employment. And then, of course, in commenting about issues of unemployment, we also need to look at the capacity and the demand of the market, because if you are producing a lot of social sciences and people, I mean, the question is also whether the market demand is there for it. But then, of course, diversifying the economy also helps in positioning yourself to meet the demands of the modern day environment. Our government has made assurances that we will be training a lot of Ghanaians into the area of ICT, just so we could also be providing the demands of the modern day economy. If you go to India and other places, people are outsourcing services from the United States and the United Kingdom and other places so that they can meet call centers, coding, and all other things. This is something that the government is doing. So we are building STEM institutions so that our children will come out there and be IT inclined and be meeting those demands. And of course, the beautiful job opportunities that it provides. We are equally investing in CTVET. I mean, for the first time, TVET institutions have been joined to the free SHS, so students are going and are building handicraft capabilities so that either they are employing themselves or they can equally employ their colleagues. Not everybody has to be on the government payroll.
So, I mean, Jihad, you really talk about equipping young people so that they come out quite prepared to be able to fit into the world of work. I think you should hold it there for me a minute. I'll come back to you again. So let me hear from Osman. I mean, Jihad clearly lays out what it is that his government is doing. The NDC has also been out and campaigning. Young people, how much of a big deal are they to you for this 2024 election?
Yes, good evening to you and good evening to your cherished listeners and for those who may be viewing to your cherished viewers. Clearly, I mean, this message is to young people and people who are...
Well, Osman, if you can raise your voice a little, your voice is really low.
Is it much better now?
Much better now.
Yeah, I believe it's much better now, yes. So clearly, this is a message to young people and people who may be just first-time voters in this country. I did listen to my brother on the other side, Jay Hyde, and clearly the mismanagement of this economy and the bad governance from the NPP has made every NPP communicator or anyone who stands to defend the NPP to find himself in a very difficult position and sometimes actually not tell the truth, or better still, to lie. I did hear him talk about how they have tackled unemployment, and I believe you also have the figures we all have from the Ghana Statistical Service. This is the first time at the all-time high where we have unemployment hitting way above 14%. This is the first time under this same NPP administration where they want us to believe that the employment of young people has been very focal and central to their administration. Obviously, it cannot be the case. This is the first time where you have over 1 million well-able, employable Ghanaians who are still unemployed. So you cannot even ride on the back of the fact that you have been able to tackle unemployment in a very good way. So he shouldn't be talking about the fact that you have recruited policemen, you have recruited immigration officers, you have recruited military men. And by the way, we all know the way and manner in which all these recruitments are done. Standards have been brought to its all-time low, where there hasn't been any form of advertisement, where the recruitment of these agencies is done just at the Flagstaff House.
Right.
That is not even my main point of focus at the moment. I just wanted to react to the few things he spoke about unemployment, just to let you know that that in itself is a non-starter, and he shouldn't even bring it out so far as unemployment is concerned in this country. The NDC and John Dramani Mahama and our running mate, Professor Jane Nana Okoko Ajimai, have been touring this country, and we are promising and giving young people hope. The state of hopelessness in this current economy is one that we need to give them hope for they to know that this is a pair that is perfect for Ghanaians. One thing we have promised young people, first of its kind in the history of this country, is the fact that we will be creating what we call the Ministry for Youth Development. And this is a ministry that will stand on its own. And its focus is to focus on youth development and also employment for young people. This is going to coordinate and collaborate with all employment agencies to be able to employ young people. That is a government that will be focusing its target on unemployment. The next thing we also promised was the Young Entrepreneurs Development Program. This is a program that found itself in the NDC's manifesto in 2020. And this is a program that will be able to build young people's startups and expand their businesses so far as people who want to go into personal business is concerned. And if you read in our 2020 manifesto also, we promised the fact that we're going to implement the 1 million coders program. We all understand and know where currently the global economy is shifting towards. It's shifting towards ICT, IT, etc., etc. So we're looking at how we can train young people to go into coding and programming. Above all, we also made sure that young people who want to do business and who are ready to employ young people in this country also will be given tax waivers and some tax holidays. But my brother, the most important or the critical ingredient in achieving all of this is that conducive economic environment the NDC is promising the good people of this country. Because trust me, you can promise heaven on earth. If the economic indicators are not favorable for anybody to do business, nobody will strive. Today, what is the exchange rate? We are looking at 14.7 cedis to 15 cedis against $1. This is not the kind of economy the NPP promised us. So for young people to do business and thrive, we need to create an enabling, conducive environment.
The enabling environment is so important, and I like it so much that the two political parties have really laid out the blueprint so that we can build a conversation from there. Osman, thank you. I'll come back to you briefly. But Esther Kofi and William Pupulampu are all first-time voters. Really, how much of an impression has these statements made on them? William, let me hear from you first. You've heard from these two persons. You are a first-time voter. So unmute and then tell me about what it is that you see in terms of the political parties and the commitment they are making towards you going into 2024. William, you are muted. Can you unmute? Hello, William?
Yeah.
Yes.
Hello.
Yes, William?
Yes,
yeah, so
please could you come again?
Yeah, the two political parties have really spoken about their vision for you as a young person. For you as a first-time voter, going into the 2024 election, what is it that is it on your mind about what you want to see that can influence the way you vote?
Okay. Thank you very much for the opportunity and the platform. Yes. Personally, there is this thing that is so dear to my heart about the growth of the youth within the community. Personally, when I look through my surrounding and my community as a whole, one common thing I notice is that whenever political parties or people or personnel who are standing in for their various parties come around, they often try to give us all these promises. They tell us the good things they are going to do, just like our prestige men are also telling us right now. I'm not saying they are frauding us or whatever. That is the common term they use. But then what I'm trying to say is that we hear all of these things over and over again. But at the end of it all, we don't come to the conclusion and say that, oh, okay, all of these they've said, there's one thing we can hold on to say that, okay, they've achieved this and it is actually helping us. I wouldn't boast of it totally to say that there is nothing at all. But then we want to see this drastic change cut across, that when we see it, or when someone is even from a far distance, the person can tell that, wow, there's been a change. Within a community of mine who are very precarious and notorious in many ways, there's this norm that comes up pertaining the youth and the lifestyle and what they than what they end up becoming. And in all, you can even just make a random research to come around within a community of Jamestown to say that you are coming to um, ask the perspective or the views or the opinions of young people within this community to see what they are aspiring for or what they want to be in the nearby future. They wouldn't have anything to say. They wouldn't have anything to rely on because whatever they see around them is, um, we are here, we hustle here. I get to ask my brethren, and if they don't get, they still or they go about to do any other things which lead to criminal offenses. So personally, if we are really looking at youth dev, let us go to the root. Let us go to some of the bases, because it seems like this race that we are talking about, and you, a number of you guys are way ahead of us. For me personally, I'm in the field of IT, and I admire how we are talking about coding and how technology should be, the main focus in enhancing growth within the individuals of this country, the youth. But personally, I want us to go through the stages of life and or for this youth, try to look at what they really need and what they want to do, and give them purpose for why they have to do that, so that they can not just view the short-term plans that they have ahead of them, some like frauding, some like all these bad things that they focus on, and rather have a big picture.
I mean, good point that you make about young people not having or not seeing a future ahead of them, so they really move towards fraud. Or for instance, what we talk about fraud, internet crimes and all that. Joyce, you run an organization like the Youth Bridge Foundation that really focus on young people. Is that the same sense you get, that young people really feel disenchanted, like William says, and they're just going up and doing so many vices? Joyce.
Good evening, Kwaku, and good evening to your listeners and viewers online. So, as much as we'll be drawn towards believing that assertion, what we believe at Youth Foundation is to understand the root causes or the push factors of some of these assertions. So, as the gentleman was speaking, he made some assertions and even gave some data or live experience of young people to back these assertions. But let's have this analogy. If you're in a community where there are options, as he had indicated, you've been inspired, you've been informed to make selections. I feel and I strongly believe that no one will go for the bad option and even be an outcast in the community. So yes, these are happening, but it's important we interrogate the underlying factors of these things. So we say that mostly during elections like this, as the gentleman has said, most of these political parties come into the communities and give lots of promises. And then because most of the young people are not well informed about them, their aspirations, what they need, because of where they are found or where they are coming from, they become victims of these same systems and structures that we are building. So for us to be able to even appreciate these needs and concerns, we need to go to the roots, as the first young time voter was saying. It's important we understand why young people do certain things, and then what are the options for a better appreciation and addressing the issues that we think are not good or we think the young people are doing.
Great point you make there, Joyce. And Shaiba, do you get the same sense that the political class have not been able to give the young people, the youth, so much to look for? And for first-time voters, many of them have said that, listen, you just said
Asante, I couldn't hear you. Can you please come again with the question?
Yes, I'm talking about young people feeling disenchanted and thinking about really what it is that this country gives them, if it gives them anything to hope. We get a good analysis of, Joyce, in terms of what is going on in the ground. But we have the politicians on the ground. I want you to address them directly on what it is that they are doing or not doing that is not just giving the young people like yourself, myself, and so many first-time voters something really to look forward to. Hello, Shaiba. You are muted. If you can unmute.
Okay, yeah, sorry, I was. So I was saying that it would be quite disingenuous if the politicians cannot feel the general sense of dissatisfaction with how this country has been run, is being run, and plans to continue. Because you speak to the average Ghanaian youth, and they are only so kind of like dream is to leave the country. Like no one believes that this country would do well. And I'm expecting that like the people that are looking to come into power would kind of adopt a tactic of like instilling hope and bringing back the love for Ghana, or even giving people hope that hey, look, we know that we have messed up, but we have plans to fix things. And I think that is where the total loss of hope comes from, where it's like you know things are bad, and it's worse because you know that nothing is going to be fixed. Nobody's making any plans towards fixing anything. And so yes, definitely, I do feel the general dissatisfaction and worry about like amongst the youth in Ghana, especially like I mean, we whenever we meet with our friends, the whole conversation is about how like this country is literally going to the dumps. Like there's no way out for us here. So that's definitely the general consensus, and I definitely agree with most of the panelists.
J Hyde and Osman, can you address that? Hello, Osman. Hello, Osman. Hello, J Hyde.
Yes.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. I can hear you now. Can you address some of the concerns that have been shared?
Yes. For a young person and a youth advocate like myself, I appreciate the concerns raised by my colleague, young folks on the platform with us. That notwithstanding, I think that yes, it's good. It's a good challenge for us to, as much as possible, I mean, approach elections and everything as though we are going to solve the problem, because that's what it ought to be. That notwithstanding, it is also imperative that once again we remind ourselves that our track record and the works on the ground must speak for itself. For instance, majority of the 600,000 people who are going to fall within the first-time voters category, as in the 18 years people who are going to qualify for registration for this ongoing exercise, are people who would likely fall within the level hundreds, and then people who are in the final year of senior high school. These are people who a few years ago were taught ICT with stones, because we're told that when you go to certain parts of this country, ICT infrastructure was non-existent. Today, these people are going to be beneficiaries of one student, one laptop initiative, because the government recognizes that teaching ITC with stones, which happened in the SWA administration, was not the way to go. Our thoughts and understanding that we need to build a youth generation that is focused and prepared for the future. It's not just mere rhetorics. It's a matter it must show itself on the ground. And so this government has launched that initiative. These are the very people who go to the universities and are going to meet a system which has been built such that students can access internet free of charge, so that there's no excuse as to why you cannot be accessible online. If we say we are going to produce over 1 million to 2 million Ghanaian students who are going to go into coding and ICT, coding, anybody knows that it's not just a matter of you getting at it. It's a matter of consistent practice, going online and making sure that you're also learning from other competitors across the world. These are the very people who the government recognizes that at some point in time, the government sector cannot employ everybody. And we need to change the mindset that everybody has to be on a certain government payroll. So under the initiative of the National Entrepreneurship and Innovation Program, which is the NEIP, and then the Youth Start Initiative, Ghanaian young people are being supported and given seed capital to invest in their businesses as entrepreneurs. Because, like I said, it is these very people who grow their businesses and also help recruit their colleagues. It is on the back of this that a few years ago, everybody thought in this country that for you to be able to do private business, you need a container, and then you change it to shops. But today, people are selling and doing business in their bedrooms because through digitalization, you can do any little business, and people are making millions of Ghana cedis out of this. And so, clearly, yes, the concerns are genuine. I believe that we as a political party and even political parties in general must do very well and do better in carrying the hopes and aspirations of young people. But we shouldn't also lose sight in the fact that this government has been very supportive in India of this country. And I believe that when it matters the most, the youth of this country are going to show up for the NPP in word of the what we have been able to do for them.
Osman, you've had a job at your coding program. Hello,
Yes,
Osman.
my brother. Yes, I want to believe that we all have been in this country and we all know the good works of the NDC and what we have done and what we stand to do. Be as it may, we all understand that the NDC government was the first to have actually started distributing laptops not only to students but to teachers and to people even within the education sector. So we were not just telling students that you need to learn ICT, but we were actually walking the talk. We promised we were going to build 200 community day schools to make sure that no student walks beyond 10 kilometers to access education, to access ICT training. And low as it is, we were able to build quite a number of them, and over 120 were still at various stages of completion. The next thing you need to understand is that they promised the good people of this country that they were going to build 350 secondary schools. We are still waiting to see how many have been built. The last time I checked, not even one of those schools that they promised they were going to build 350 was built. I did hear my brother talk about the fact that NEIP has supported some youth in development. You shouldn't forget that the NEIP today, they want to pride themselves in, was a brainchild of the NDC, which started as Youth Enterprise Support, which was, yes, they only came to rename it, which we know them for what they will do every day, is to rename every good initiative under the NDC, or that was started by the NDC. But, my brother, the most important thing is that we are promising young people of this country that it is time for them to join the change that we all yearn for. It is time for them to join the train to be able to impact that change. It is time for them to join the NDC, for us all to build the Ghana that we all want to live in, not the Ghana for a few people.
Good point that you make, and this is a good time to bring Esther. Esther is a first-time voter as well. Esther, you've heard from these two organizers of the political parties. Do you feel assured? Your colleagues, first-time voters, others have asked questions. They've provided certain answers. Do you feel assured going into 2024 that, listen, these people have your concerns and interests at heart? Hello, Esther.
I hardly hear what you're saying.
Yes, Esther, can you hear me now?
Yes, but where I am is very noisy.
All right, so we'll try and fix this line. But before that, we've been getting some messages coming in. Then I'll get back to Shola and get back around the table. Then we can conclude the conversation. But I mean, generally, the concerns are that the political parties need to pay a bit more attention to what it is that the people feel. Michael Papani actually joins me in studio with comments. Michael, what are people saying on social media?
Quite a lot of comments here, but I just go through a few. Let's go to North Legon, where Senior Macho, that's the name he's given us, is connecting with us. He says, I have my card, but I doubt I will vote. I will probably leave the country before that time. Into bracket, he wrote Jakba. But if I vote, we will vote for the person with the best economic policy. For now, none of them entices me. Let's go to Osu Market, where Sandra says, I've had my voter's ID since 2015, but I've never bothered to vote. This time, I will vote. I've told my younger sibling, who is going to get his card, to vote for any other party but the current government. I know all Ghanaians understand. Now let's go to UCC. Selassie says, I am watching Baumia like Kakai. My thumb will do the talking in December. I have this one here from Makafui in Kachi. Yes, Kachi. And he says that, well, we will all keep this government in power with my new ID card. Finally here, Abigail, who is not telling us where she's texting us from, says, this is too stressful. I left school to go and queue for the card. It's not even worth it. I was there the whole day and it wasn't even my turn. Sorry, Abigail, but I guess that those are some of the things we have to do when we are doing
That's
with
the
the
stress.
internet,
I mean, Michael Papani, that just read the message. It's the first time both times, so just got his card. Your Microsoft, you can't say anything. Well, Shola, so the political parties have given a sense of understanding of where they're taking the people. Where next are we going? And when you went to the ground yourself, do you just feel that people are really upbeat about the registration process? So many people willing to go out there and register and vote?
Kwaku, let me say this, that, last year in 2020, our sitting president was able to win the elections with over 500,000 votes. This year alone, it is data release is showing that the probability that over 700,000 new voters will be voting is very high. Meaning that if
They can swing the
exactly that if 700,000 voters or first-time voters decide to vote for Party A, the possibility or the probability that this party would come into power is very high. That should tell you how important the voices of first-time voters are. I want us to understand that these people, even though they are 18 years and they might not be experienced, they can make or break a party.
Yes.
Do you understand? So it's very important to me. But yes, as when I went to Jamestown, as I said, it will shock you that they are 18 and they might not have experiences, but they see and they've heard and they live these situations, these challenges we are talking about. So unemployment, they might not be in positions to be employed, but they have brothers and sisters who are sitting home that are not working. So if you come and you say, oh, we've given or we've created a lot of jobs and in security, first of all, how many people want to do security in the first place? We also have to take that into consideration. So I said it earlier that these people are trying to turn the negatives into positives. So they are negatives, but they are enthused to be voting because they have the chance to change these things. I also like that one of the politicians in there said that, the society they live in has influenced their decision on who to vote for. But let me let you know that, Kwaku, I spoke to people who told me that even though their parents were voting for this particular party, they won't toe the line of their parents. They're ready to change things in the community for themselves. So if their parents were probably Party A, they have changed their mind and they're not doing Party A. They are only going to choose parties that favor them, parties that create policies that will, favor them at the end of the day. So they are excited, they are ecstatic, not because the situation is good, no, but because they are trying to change the situation for themselves and they are not kowtowing to what people have told them or what the society is telling them. They also tell you that, when you go to do these registrations, because we are still in the process, aside people coming to queue with stones and the funny stories we hear, they also have we have agents that come to sit in and bring their own parties. We have people guaranteeing for people who are not even 18 yet, and they are all looking forward to strengthening the guarantor system. They're looking forward to having a smooth registration so that at the end of the day, in the elections, they can be able to make their final decision that will help them or that will go their way. So they are ecstatic. They really are. And from what's to come, we are still going to be going to a lot of places. We are coming to your schools. I always end the show saying that we will see you next time in your area because we are trying to make sure that the voices of every Ghanaian child, if possible, or first-time voter is heard loud, clear, and the change we deserve is given.
Thank you very much, Shola. And Shola is the host of Just 1018. Watch it on Join Us and Enjoy Prime. The next episode will be airing very soon. So let me give the last words to Jay Hyde and then Osman Ayariga. In a minute, you have the time to speak to the youth. Let me start with you, Osman.
Thank you very much for your time this evening, and thank you to the good people and the good youth of this country. The message we have for the young people in this country who have just turned 18 and are ready to be part of the process to oust this wicked Machiavellian government that has nothing more to offer. I tell them that this is time for them to join the clarion call by His Excellency John Dramani Mahama. This is the time for young people to go out there and register and be part of building the Ghana we all experience. This is time for them to vote for change, because this is a time John Dramani Mahama is going to implement the 24-hour economic policy, a policy that would create at least 3 times the number of jobs that will be available to any economy. This is the game changer that will provide jobs to the good people of the youth, especially in this country. This is the game changer that will provide a conducive economic environment for young people who want to do a business of their own. This is the game changer that once you are out of the university, you will be employed. This is the game changer that young people have been yearning for. So I call on young people once again that the time is now, and the time to build the Ghana we all hope for is now. And this is not the time for anybody to japa. Unfortunately, the NPP has given every political party a bad name. But I can tell them in all certainty that the NDC is not the NPP. The NDC is a party that looks out for the masses. The NDC is a party that is here to effect change. The NDC is a party that looks at the forward development of Ghana.
Right. Thank you very much, Osman. Thank you so much, Osman. Time to hear from you, Jihad. Your friend has been throwing quite some shots.
Well, yeah, thanks. I think that, before I go into it, I would like to respond briefly to one or two issues that Osman has raised. The fact that they intended or they had built some day schools. I'm wondering which of the day schools he's talking about. You promised over 200 and ended up building about 28. Of the 28, some located at what was 3 kilometers away from the nearest community. Was he expecting these young people before they get to class to have walked that distance before they get to school? I mean, it looks like the NDC has become, adept to sloganeering and then, all kinds of, funny rhetorics when it comes to elections. This 24-hour economy, we are yet to get to the crux of this idea because people are explaining whether they are going to sell wachi or whatever it is.
Okay. So Jay, I get that you want to respond to a few things that your colleague has said, but because we're just getting out of time, if you can just do this for me in 30 seconds, telling the young people, these first-time voters who are listening, those who join us on the show, the message.
Yes, and so like I was saying, the Ghanaian youth are going to evaluate the NPP and assess us based on the work that we promised them we're going to do 8 years ago. Today, we have a flag bearer who has championed the cause of the youth. Today, you have a system which is seeing to it that digitalization, which is the new game changer across the world, has become the launch pad of our country. The vice president is assuring the Ghanaian people that under his leadership, we are going to see massive expansion, we are going to see massive infrastructure, we are going to see to it that the Ghanaian youth are trained in capacity that makes them competitive anywhere in the world. It is not for anything that today Ghanaian students are one of the best in the West African sub-region, having led the WASI exam, and everything is showing for itself. A journey of 1,000 miles begins with a step. The NPP has started something beautiful which resonates with the youth of this country. And we believe that come what may, when we go into this election, the Ghanaian youth are going to support the cause of this government. And inshallah, we shall continue with the good works of the NPP.
Thank you very much, Jihad. And this is our show for tonight, Ghana Connect, where we have been connecting first-time voters to the authorities, the NDC, NPP people in government, and telling us what it is that they think they are going to do for these young people. It's become clear that so many of them really know that this election is going to hinge on young people, and they are making clearly their policies known to them. William, first-time voter, thank you. Joyce, with the Youth Bridge Foundation Programs Manager, thank you very much. Shaiba, an activist. Isaac Jihad and Osman Ayerga, Deputy National Youth Organizers of the NPP and NDC, respectively. And Lois Shola Demi, the host of Just 1018 on Joy Prime and Joy News. And then Esther, a first-time voter. We'll be back same time next week with another exciting edition of Ghana Connect.